I'll kick it back to you, Collar. Of the other rookies, who else has like your mind gravitated to?
Yeah, I mean, I think so I want to say Max Bredesen because they're clearly using him a lot, and he looks the part, man. I mean, he really does. So how much they're going to use big personnel is an actual question. This team bringing in Bredesen, and this is no disrespect to CJ Ham, who was an awesome fullback, but Bredesen is, I think, a little bigger than CJ Ham, and he is a young player. I think that the physicality that they want to play with Juwan Jennings, Bredesen is a big part of this because you don't know when they draft the fullback, you kind of assume, but you don't know if he's actually going to get out there right away. And then the Josh Oliver part of it as well. I mean, I think they want to be able to win a lot of different kind of ways, a lot of different types of games. If Kyler Murray doesn't have it that day, or they have to play Carson Wentz or JJ, like you got to be able to win by running 30 times. And maybe last year, KOC got convinced that that is possible to do. So that stood out to me just how much he's been out on the field. And I think the other is that Dominique Orange, now I know he was a little bit banged up, but has not gotten in there much so far. And Caleb Banks is really just ramping up. So the two guys that we kind of expected to be a big part of this right away through 7 practices haven't really been much. And I'm going to be watching very closely on that, and not to cover every single guy, but the fact that Jake Golday is getting first team reps inside and outside is really huge for him. It's a hard role to play, linebacker for Brian Flores, and it says a lot about how prepared he was to come into this camp.
Garrett, I want to kick it to you, but first, before we do that, I do want to talk about Prize Picks. We're looking here at a lineup of receivers. And it is for week 1, Collar, against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, when is week 1? Are we like a month away? I mean, it's unbelievable.
We are, but you can still do it now.
All right, yeah, I mean, and that's why we're showing it to the viewer right now. Justin Jefferson's yards on Prize Picks for week 1, 76.5. Christian Watson's 54.5. Tucker Kraft, he's back. That's critical for them if he is back, indeed. 52.5 receiving yards. Collar, what do you think about Justin there? 76.5 week 1 against the Packers. I doubt they're going to cover him like Joe. What was the defensive coordinator? Joe Barry. What was his name years ago? 2022 week 1 at US Bank Stadium. They didn't double cover Justin. It was just like open zones everywhere, and he had, I believe, 150 yards that day. But 76.5 feels like an interesting number. Where are you guys at on that?
Well, I think that just in general, Kevin O'Connell in week 1s has come out with some very interesting stuff, and he's been cooking up things all summer long to get Justin Jefferson open, and we've often seen that come to fruition. And I also think that Kyler Murray has pumped the football to his number 1 wide receivers throughout his career, so I would be more on the side of Justin Jefferson having a big day to start the season.
Garrett, what do you think about the Packers receiving core?
I think the Packers receiving core is in a position where you never know who to lean on for that specific week. And I feel like it's very much, if you pick one more then it'll be less than, because they choose to go with the opposite for that game. With Kraft specifically, I feel like with him coming off the ACL, I would imagine they'd want to ease him in. That would be kind of where I'd lean on that one. I feel like because he tore his ACL nearly midway through the year last year, so I think they're gonna ease him into the offense.
The name I'm not seeing there, and I'm just gonna have to go on the Prize Picks app later and look at it, is Jaden Reed. I've always loved that guy. I always think he's really dynamic. So I would just be curious where the number is. But if you are a new user of Prize Picks, you can play for $5, get $150 if you win. That seems like a pretty good deal. But yeah, you can go check out what's expected for week 1 between the Vikings and the Packers. Garrett, I do want to kick it back to you on the rookies. Collar mentioned Max Bredesen. Collar mentioned Jake Golday. We touched a little bit on the interior defensive linemen. Of those names, is there any one of them for you that you have your eyes on more than the others?
Definitely Max Bredesen, and I did see a clip somebody posted yesterday at the end of practice of Bredesen and CJ Ham together. CJ had his arm around him after practice. That was really cool to see. And I do think, the NFL is a copycat league. That's kind of a fact. That's not me thinking it. That's just more of a fact. But we saw the rise of, heavier personnel packages last year. I was in an interview recently with somebody else, and they basically said that it's a good point that the NFC North now is kind of like how the AFC North used to be with the Ravens and Steelers, just with how much of a slugfest it is, with how, I mean, every team in our division is, I mean, there's beef everywhere along the trenches. So to bring in Bredesen and to use more heavier packages, and to think that, you know, we're going to play 21 games this year. At least that's the goal here in August. I can't wait to see the utilization of Max Bredesen as a rookie, how many snaps he's getting per game when we are using him, if he's going to be strictly used as a blocking fullback, if he's going to have a couple of, you know, routes per game, kind of just out to the flat just to get the ball in his hands. That's a player I can't wait to see in 2026.
If the Vikings are playing 21 games by week 21, I mean, I'm going to be asleep on the Vikings Collective show, given the fatigue, but it's just how it goes. And somehow Coller won't, even though he'll be live streaming for 9 hours on that night. Max Bredesen, I'm glad you guys, I didn't know if you'd go fullback central here, but I mean, more than anything, I'm as impressed that he doesn't look lost at all with the offense and all of the jobs that are required of that spot. And I mean, we heard coaches rave about CJ Ham in Kevin O'Connell's time here for a reason. It's because he knew every component of an offense that is not easy to know. And given that they are incorporating more motions, perhaps with Max Bredesen, a guy who is in a mold of Alec Ingold, who was in Miami with Frank Smith, who is now the Vikings assistant head coach, in the event that they could be used in a similar way. In the event, it's pretty impressive that Max Bredesen would be able to already have the mental aptitude and wherewithal to know how to kind of live in some of those worlds, Coller. And I'd imagine you'd agree with that.
No, I do agree. And I just think that it probably shows you how versatile they want to be as an offense. I mean, even Wes Phillips was talking about yesterday the pistol formation, which I'm sure was not designed for Kyler Murray at all when they thought it up to put it in the offense this year, and the fact that they signed him. But no, it's really like when we've seen, I guess the only question is, can this team, because it's great to have a lot of different stuff, can they have something that is clearly their fastball? And if their fastball is pounding the heck out of Jordan Mason with Josh Oliver and Juwan Jennings, like imagine a package where you just have Hawkinson, or maybe Ben Yurosek makes the team and you just have like two big tight ends, a fullback, and Juwan Jennings is the only wide receiver. Are you willing to do that like 5 times in a row if you're winning that way? And so far, Kevin O'Connell has not really wanted to do that, but I think that they have the personnel to do it. I also think they have more of the offensive line health to do it at this moment. And, you know, the offensive line getting a first-round draft pick who's developing, Darisaw back to 100%. It was really great to see. Jordan Mason ran off the left side and went into the end zone, and Darisaw and Donovan Jackson are celebrating. It's like Darisaw looking like himself again has also been a huge deal to what they could be as a running offense.
And I think, like, you don't have to live that way maybe forever, but if you live that way for a certain amount of time and it forces the opposing defense to adapt the way they are trying to defend your pass concepts, then you're marrying the run and pass the way that Kevin O'Connell, I think, the way he learned and adapted throughout his time in Los Angeles. Like, I think that's so much of it. It's like, are you willing to play a certain style to force the defense to commit to stopping that style so that you can then play other styles? And I think that push-pull is going to be a critical conversation, with this specific season. We talked about the tweets at the end of the show. We're gonna do that. But Coller put us on this last week. We're gonna give a specific take about something. He wants to put me in the most uncomfortable position possible, Garrett. He also wants to hear an opinion from you. And I personally want to hear his opinion because this is what he does. He gives opinions. So let's do something real quick, whether it's edge rusher depth, Garrett, whether it's run game intrigue, whether it's related to Jordan Addison's future contract. Do you have an opinion with this team that you're just like raring to get off your chest?
I 1000% do.